Perfect. All right. Here we are, Orange Room Talks. We got the incredible Stephanie Satcher with us today. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's my name. Thank you.
yes, that's my name. That is correct. Tell us a little bit about yourself for folks. I want to do a quick intro, but this is one of the co-founders of Just Improv. One of the funniest people that I know in my entire life, a person that I constantly find myself like admiring, appreciating, and respecting in more and more ways every day. So this is Stephanie.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Stephanie, and I'm an accountant.
Yes. You know what that means on the internet nowadays, right? People.
Oh, no, I'm actually an accountant.
People. When you say you're an accountant, people think you're anything but an
Yes,
accountant.
no, I actually am. Yeah. Former accountant, actually.
I was accounting my way through medical school, and then once I got out, I don't have to account anymore. Big Rodney down at the accounting bar.
Yes, Big Rodney.
At the accounting
I don't know who he is.
All right, sorry. So you're an accountant?
Yeah,
And
I live in Sarasota, Florida now, and I have a 3-year-old, and I'm just living my life.
Adorable. So you came to tell us a little bit about your improv journey.
I came to Ojai in 2014 and did improv in Ojai, and then joined another group where I met Tron. And then
Oh yes, that's to be clear. Canonically on Orange Room Talks, we only refer to that group as another improv group.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, 100%. It's the only one.
Yeah. And then we broke off on our own. It was very dramatic.
Yes.
And then Just was born.
Yeah. Tell me stories that you remember from that time, because I feel like I have all the stories that I remember. I mean, I already talked to Ollie about the leaking of the information about us breaking off. Do you remember that?
Yes. It was because Ollie was the leak.
Yes.
Because we were trying to figure out who the leak was, but we kind of already knew, I think. Yes.
The leak. What else do you remember from that time?
Well, I remember kind of, I guess, making fun of Travis. Basically, that's what I remember. Yeah, I remember having a lot of fun and just enjoying doing the classes, but feeling like there were things that I was learning that I felt like we weren't teaching other people in the class. So that was like upsetting. So I think that was part of the reason why we broke off.
Yeah, most definitely. And I remember feeling just so like creatively stifled. I remember one of the first scenes when I was like, oh, this person's special with you was like, we were in a scene and we had been like, our character was sitting on a bed. Obviously it had romantic intentions, but like our instructor was like, what's your relationship? It's not clear. And I was like, dude, obviously, like whatever. And I was like, well, thanks, sis. And like your face was like, you were so happy, and he was like, "Oh, we don't need to be gross." I was like, "This is gross. This is fucking hilarious. Let's go." So literally, anytime that subject matter comes up, some little Lannister stuff, I tell people in jest that it's like you're smiling up like Mufasa in the clouds, 100%.
I think it's always fun in improv to do something that's taboo, but not like classically taboo, like actually taboo. Actually, it's always funny because people have a reaction to it.
I'm classically taboo.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Classically taboo.
Yes.
That sounds like the name of like an R&B album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
My name is Raymond Jackson, and this is my album, Classically Taboo. But let's go a little bit more stories though from the founding. Like, what's your first memory of us doing? What was your memory of the first jest practice, or like the drop-in we did? Because I still kind of remember that in November.
Who was there? Just remind me.
It's like Coda, that one little person that was.
That's what I do remember.
It was very funny. I don't even remember Alan. I think Alan. Yeah. Alan was their name.
Yeah.
But very funny. There was some.
I remember actually being really scared for a lot of those, like teaching for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd say. I remember being really scared and trying to over prepare so that I didn't make a fool of myself teaching.
Yes. Oh my god, it's so funny. And then now sometimes I'll be like, well, of course you finish your drop-in lesson plan so much far ahead of time. I'm looking straight into the camera. I said, you got like 15 minutes before. You're like, oh, I could do something totally different. Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were so nervous. We were doing something that was like felt so new and untested at the time. And it's like we're sitting in a fucking room now.
And it's nice now that you allow people to grow in that way.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get a chance in any of the classes that I did a chance to grow in that way. I did teach one class one time, but I was dating the teacher, not Travis, a different teacher.
True. Different teacher.
Yeah. Different groups of teachers.
Yes.
There were so many teachers.
So many great teachers in the Ventura County area, right? We just love them all. Fuck off. But yeah, no, it's certainly something where, like, you know, to have a change of pace, the growth. I mean, literally, Oak was teaching the class today, and like Oak came to our stuff by accident, like, you know, just stumbled like into it. So it's cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Full circle full circle.
Yeah, and it's nice to see people who have been doing it for so many years that keep coming back.
Yeah. But also there's like a freshness. We don't have a death cult thing where it's like the same people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We lose the people we want to lose. We keep the people that we want to keep. And sometimes we lose the people that we would want to keep because life just kind of happens like that.
Sometimes we keep the people we want to lose.
That's for fucking sure. That's true. Sometimes the people we want to keep move to Florida.
And sometimes we lose them and try to keep them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But I remember you were doing improv like significantly before anything out in Ventura, because you were like Chicago back in the day, right?
I really wanted to do improv in Chicago, but I was really terrified. I was like a groupie. Well, not like that kind of groupie.
The term is chuckle fucker, by the way.
I wasn't chuckle fucking.
You were
I wasn't grouping. I was just kind of going up as many shows as I could and was kind of obsessed with the craft. Yeah. So I would go see, specifically at IO, Improv Olympic mostly, because Second City was more sketch. So, you know, you'd go see a show, it was mostly sketch.
Yeah. And they've definitely, like, UCB has come around, I think, you know, they're one of the few remaining players in the space right now, and it's an interesting kind of like renaissance moment right now. I feel like, like in LA, there's not only UCB is like kind of the big major players in terms of like the IO and everything else like that, Second City. But
I thought for a minute you were gonna do like that South America and everything, such as that Miss Columbia.
Oh, yes. Therefore, such as the Americas, and because of the countries.
Yes. And such as.
Damn, your references are very topical. I love this. But literally, like, I'm just checking. Okay.
Checking his knee.
I'm checking my knee and making sure damn, this shit looks good. This knee looks amazing. But yeah, no, the UCB got bought by the venture capital firm that like owns the Dodgers. So they're going like big corporate, you know, they're doing a big push into like streaming. And then there's a lot of newer, smaller theaters though, like We Improv, World's Greatest Improv School has like their clubhouse thing. There's like, I think it's the West Side. They're out in Santa Monica. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, there's stuff going on. It's cool.
Yep.
Like there was a big collapse because I feel like I read an interesting article where like a lot of the improv companies were just kind of like real estate holding firms.
Oh.
Where they were like basically buying up all this stuff and being like, yeah, we're just gonna, you know, speculative investing basically on the idea that the value of their land was gonna go up, and then
like McDonald's.
Yeah, but yeah, it didn't really pan out. So I think having a smaller, leaner business model has really helped us thrive. And I mean, you know, we're a little punk rock theater, you know, it's not, we don't have all the bells and whistles, but we do well, and it's been an exciting thing.
Yeah, well, I also think that it's very welcoming to any kind of person too.
We try to do our best. We do our best. It's fun. Thank you though.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. What was something that you feel like you learned when you were doing Jest?
Well, I was teaching, so what I feel like I learned was how to help people like effectively do a scene. So you see certain things that people are doing, like some people are talking constantly over other people, and that's usually like fear. And so I I started to kind of learn certain things of what people generally did and how to like stop them with that specific thing and help them develop something new.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a teacher, that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have those like breakthrough moments and you see them like put it into practice. Like people like that have been coming to drop-ins consistently. You see that change and that growth in people. And we've had people that have like, you know, straight up like diagnosed disorders be able to learn to kind of like overcome them and be able to feel more comfortable on stage. It's powerful stuff and it really nourishes my soul in a really big way. It's cool. Yeah.
I think it's healing for everybody because you have to do something that's scary for most people. And even if you feel like you stink, it doesn't really matter. It's about just doing it and making the effort to overcome that fear. Like when I first started, I felt like some sort of energy of like the audience is going to kill me if I suck.
Yes.
Like some sort of like past life energy or whatever. Yeah. And so you have to really, it's not like it's easy for us when we start. It's scary. And if you have like an overwhelming person teaching you, it's also like you can't be yourself either. So there's a lot of factors, I think. And you can, what I'd say is, even if you feel like you're going to stink, come out. It's not about comedy. It's about building a relationship.
Yep. You know, that's for true. Absolutely. Like, and that like what you were saying is, and I try to like tell people that as much as possible. It's like getting over your own self. The stakes are so low. Like you said, you know, we're just having like fun doing little kid games. You know, like we're not doing anything serious. It's not anything intense. Like, you know, especially even at like a drop-in class, you're at a drop-in class, the expectations are zero. So in reality, it's only the expectations that you're setting on yourself. So getting better at like, oh, these expectations are unrealistic. Like, why am I holding myself to this standard of perfection? That I think leads a lot of people into these cycles of like substance abuse or just self-loathing in general. However they choose to kind of like try to self-medicate those feelings away. Like the idea of like, oh, I have to be perfect. Why can't I be good? Or that you define your self-worth based on your ability to be competent at things. Which, I mean, I fell into that trap. And I know it's a big problem within my profession. And I mean, a lot of people's professions too. A lot of people, it's nice to take pride in your competency, but then using that as like a crutch to keep you only doing things that you're good at, I think is a bad thing.
Yeah. And you do get better, and doing this makes you better with people, makes you better in social situations, makes you funnier at parties.
That's true.
You know, there's so many benefits to doing it.
Yes.
You know, like you're laughing is funnier at parties. Yeah, you're like so much funnier at parties.
No, literally.
You're comfortable talking to somebody weird, and not somebody weird. You're comfortable talking to somebody and saying something weird, and that being just whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, literally, like I was talking with, I think it was Aries was mentioning, it's like, yeah, I was hanging out with people from school recently, and I had to realize, I was like, wow, yeah, some people just aren't funny. And then you realize, you're like, oh, this thing that we do is like, it's a talent, it's a skill, and it's a beautiful thing. It's not like end all be all, right? Like, funny people can have sadness. Funny people certainly do have like a lot of fucked up things and like problems with themselves, but you know, like generally, it's a good thing to be funny, and that improv allows you to be funny in an authentic way versus stand-up where you'll feel like you always got to be like the funniest guy in the room kind of thing.
Well, and there's a lot of hate coming from you with stand-up, where improv, no one's really expecting that much. They kind of come with an open slate to receive what you're offering. Whereas with stand-up, people come like, I don't think this guy's going to make me laugh. He's not funny. They're coming kind of like with some sort of contempt for you, whereas with an improv audience is not.
I think it's the expectations. Like, I like to make the comparison when I tell people the difference. It's like the improv is, or stand-up is everybody sit down, shut up, listen to me. I have the microphone. I'm the one that's funny. You know what I mean? Like, you're not funny. I am funny. Look at how funny I am.
Yeah.
All this stuff coming from my brain. Versus the core, you know, conceit of improv is like, they don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's going on.
Exactly, right? Like, It's a group of people, and I think that's a little bit more empathizable in that sense. I think there's still people that are like, I'm not going to laugh. Improv sucks. I don't know how I expect to laugh at this. But even at that, I think it is more empathizable because it's less prepared, and then also I think just by the nature of it, yeah.
I heard somebody, it wasn't a show here, but I heard somebody when I first was doing improv where they were pissed because they were like, it was scripted. And it wasn't. Like they thought it was that good that we scripted it.
Oh my
God. Like it turns out to be that. It turns out certain parts turn out to be so good you're surprised that it's somebody's just making it up.
Yep.
But that's generally funnier than a scripted thing. You know, any of the, Will Ferrell does a bunch of improv or in his movies, and those are like the funniest lines.
Yep. Yep, because it's like, it's raw, authentic, and a good improviser is taking in like everything from the moment and then kind of feeding it back into the scenes. And I feel like that, yeah, definitely, it's more creative, it's more interesting, and in the long run, I find it more engaging. I did sketch for the first time recently. Like last year, we were dipping our toes into doing sketch, and that's a whole different beast. Holy shit. Like with improv, really, you get that feeling of like, what does it matter? It's just like improv, it's like a scene, it's a few scenes, whatever. But like, when you have a sketch and your joke doesn't land or something doesn't, you're like, God damn it. I am so not funny. Why did I think this was funny? You know what I mean? And you're like, oh boy, if you didn't like that, you're
definitely not gonna like this one.
It's next 3 minutes of whatever. But thankfully, I didn't have anything that bombed too hardcore. But it's just different.
You just have Alex Sattler in your audience, and he'll laugh at it all for you.
No, sometimes Alex doesn't even laugh. That's true. But yeah, no, it's just so different. But I like it. It's fun, and I realized too, because I went to see a Groundlings sketch show last year, or 2023, so end of 2023. But it was like, I always thought you had to. The two choices were like improv or SNL level production quality, where it's like big sets and props that are whatever. And then I saw the Groundlings, and they just had like 3 boxes on top of each other as a slot machine. I was like, oh my God, wait a second, what?
Yeah.
And I was, I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah, Second City, their sketch was like improv-esque, but they had practiced ahead of time.
Yep.
Most of those, yeah.
And we even had, bits or beats that are like scripted and then parts that are rehearsed. So like, I think it's fun, and I think improv as a tool to generate ideas for sketch is kind of my vibe and vision. Because I'd like to eventually like do more video sketch stuff, something like kind of like Key and Peele, where you get like video sketch, do an intro, video sketch, do an intro, but using improv as that like core thing that like keeps my creative mind sharp, so that I can be identifying like what's funny, how do we heighten, how do we explore, everything like that.
It's also fun just to use improv in your daily life. Like with my daughter, I'm always singing weird songs.
Yes.
And like, it's funny because like they know certain things, or I change the lyrics to be about her, and she'll be like, stop,
Stop,
no. That reaction keeps me going.
Let it Gwen, let it Gwen. No, stop.
That's not the words.
That's not the words.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
This is
thank
a wonderful.
you for having me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Sarasota's own Stephanie Sacha.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarasota's own accountant.
Yeah.
Former
accountant. I love and appreciate you so much, Steph.
Boop, boop, boop.